Any questions? What happened? Mhm. You can see like why we don't do the practice like that every day. Doesn't make sense. Like, why would you practice like that? You're not learning anything. But then at the same time, if you just like putter around, you're not going to push your edge in the same way. Like where you just go, one of the best things about a lead class like that is like it doesn't let you make a story when you can't do something. Like you try, you're like, oh, you screwed that up, but then you have to catch up. It's good as long as you're keeping yourself safe. I mean, that's why like when a new person comes to lead, like I've told people like this isn't for you here, not because I'm a jerk, but because it's not responsible to say, yeah, you can try, go ahead, go give it a go. This isn't what this is. You go to the MISO room, you get some basic safety like instructions, and then you go to a lead class. The lead class is for more experienced students, which makes sense. It's like you get to try all the things you did in a setting that doesn't let you like fall into your pattern, whatever your pattern is. Like that was not 90 minutes. You've heard me say that, right? If you really focus, you can do primary in 90 minutes, full closing, everything. But I mean, not every day is like that. Same for me. Like I got days when I'm working on second series and like it could be 3 hours. And when I do lead, it's 90 minutes. And I notice in the lead all the places where I'm like, oh yeah, that needs work. Oh yeah, that needs work. That's helpful. And then I get to go back into the Mysore room the next day, whenever the next Mysore is, and I get to work on those things that I learned from the lead practice. And some people like really don't like the lead practice. And I understand that. But there's a reason I think we do it that way. And the reason is it will show you stuff that you might not see in Mysore. But it isn't for me personally, like let's say everybody was relatively new. Like when I started, we didn't have full primary here at Casco Fall. Like I'm not teaching that. People aren't ready for it. You know, why would I teach a full primary class to people who are like struggling to get through half? It doesn't make sense. It's irresponsible as a teacher. But then like once you guys started like getting half pretty good, it's like, yeah, let's give it a go. And then watch you progress. But you understand? So like if you talk to somebody about Ashtanga ever, like don't send them to the lead class. Like it's for experienced students, you know? Like when you do this style of lead class, like in India, you go up to where you know and then you stop and watch the others. That's what you do. I'm not as strict as that, but I want you to try. But there's also the option to do that. Like if you ever come to lead and you're like, this is all I got. Like want to watch or lie down or leave, that's fine. It's totally cool. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, Harvey, I can't believe you bailed on that. You are a horrible practitioner. Like I would never do that. Doesn't make sense. It's your practice. Like I'm giving you an opportunity to get the benefit of the lead class, and then you've got to decide. Like maybe I'm not doing all the vinyasas today. My shoulder hurts or something. That's okay. It's totally fine. You know. And what you have to notice in the practice is like, are you giving yourself like slack because you're lazy or because there's a problem? And also, are you pushing in a way that's smart or are you pushing in a way that's reckless? Like that's what you got to notice. Because like I was saying today in the practice, is like the experienced practitioner, like I know that somebody's making progress in the practice if they're starting to calm down doing it. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just doing this thing. It's no big deal. That's how I know. Not by could you do it? I mean, obviously, I want to see. It feels good when you get something new. Like you're like, oh wow, I did that for the first time. And that's great, but that's not really what I'm interested in as a practitioner and as a teacher. What I'm interested in is this person getting calm and confident. That's what I want to notice. And you notice it in yourself too. Like, are you getting calm and confident doing it? And like sometimes, like I was telling you all this week, like Bujapidasana, people get stuck there. It's literally just a forward bend. It's like a fancy one, but like if you just stop making such a big deal about it, then it might be easier. I do the same thing. Like I got stuff in my practice where I'm like, oh God, not this again. And I actually think like that's where the real like growth happens in the practice. When you're like coming up against the thing and everything inside your mind is saying like, just don't do it today. And you go, you're building the confidence and the calmness by going, we're just going to do it. We'll just see what happens. It's no big deal. It's just a pose. Like, and then that's when the like growth starts to happen. You see what I mean? And I find that lead, it like forces you to look in those spots that you're like kind of looking in the MISA room, like you're kind of like dancing around the issue. And lead, like, no, you just shoves you into it. And I wouldn't do that every day. I don't think it's smart to practice like that. You're going to end up with a ton of injuries. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, so it's part of the program, you know? Part of the program is like sometimes you just gotta like put your head down and get it done. And that's lead class. And then other days there's room to, oh wow, my Bujapidasana is really poor right now. Spend a little extra time there. That's a great learning opportunity, you know? So well, because I wanted to just show you like you could do it in 90 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it in 90 minutes. Like you can also do it in 3 hours. But what I want you to see is like, get out of the mentality of a lot of people go like, I got to do the whole thing or it doesn't count. It's like, actually, no, you could do half primary in 1 hour if you focus, you know? You could do like a pretty decent Ashtanga practice in 40 minutes if you focus. And if you have time, like, yay, you know, spend all the time, do things 3 times, hold things for longer than 5 breaths. That's great. But sometimes it's like, this is what I got. And it gets you out of the way of thinking where you're like, well, if I don't have 2 hours, then I'm not going to do anything. It's like, no, that's not how it works. Life's not like that. Like today, I only got time for this. And so I'm going to give my best to this. And I'm going to work on being calm and confident in whatever that thing is. And that's how the practice will really serve you. Because then you'll always be like pushing your edge based on your condition. Like let's have 15 minutes for some reason, that rarely happens to me. But if I did, then maybe if I did a Surya Namaskar, like I would get warmed up and then I would really like focus on the areas that are challenging, like floating the feet forward and back, really like building strength and awareness. I wouldn't just like whip through and get it over with. I would go to the edge of these are the best sun salutations I can do. And that's a complete practice you know? And then at the end, I'll do Uplutihi and maybe I'll stay for longer than 10 breaths and really, and then maybe like a nice rest. And that's great. That's all good. It's the part where you sell yourself short or you listen to your body first thing when you wake up. Like listen to your body throughout the day and in the practice, yeah, for sure. But if you want to do a practice like this, it's probably not going to help you to listen to it when you wake up. If you're like me, because I wake up and I'm like, I'm sore. I don't feel like doing this. I'm just going to go back to sleep. And if I do that, I won't get the great feeling that I get later from doing my practice. So I don't listen to that. But the rest of the time I do. And sometimes in the practice, I'm like, should I be doing this? Like, this kind of hurts. And then I'll be like, yeah, actually, you should stop. That's great. Listen to that, you know? But sometimes you're like, we could just like not do the rest of this. And you're like, well, why? Well, your shoulder does kind of hurt, not that. It's a different voice, you know? There's like one voice that's helping you and one voice that's testing you.